All right, let's jump in the time machine and head back to a really pivotal moment in tech. We're talking about 1984, a year that totally blew the doors off what a database could even be. You gotta understand, back in the early days of computing, data was incredibly powerful for sure, but it was also trapped. It was literally locked away, stuck inside the physical box of one single giant computer. And that brings us right into what we call the isolated mainframe era. This was just how things were done. It was the only game in town. So what is a monolithic mainframe anyway? Picture this. One single massive computer. The kind of thing that fills an entire room. All your data, every program, all the number crunching, it all happened right there, inside that one box. It was its own little self-contained universe. And you can probably guess this created a massive problem. Your data was basically a prisoner on an island. So let's say you're a bank, right? And you want to connect your branches. Or maybe you're a big retailer trying to track inventory across dozens of stores. Nope, you'd hit a brick wall. The data just could not leave that one machine. It was stuck. But then a challenger shows up on the scene. And they have this completely different, almost radical idea. This was Oracle. And they had what you could call a distributed dream. And this is where you see this huge clash of ideas. I mean, a real fundamental disagreement. You had the industry giant, IBM, doubling down on the mainframe. Their whole philosophy was, let's just make this one machine bigger, faster, more powerful. But then you had Oracle, this upstart, looking at the network and thinking, wait a minute, what if the data didn't have to be trapped? What if it could live and work together everywhere? And this whole clash of philosophies, it all came to a head in one very specific, very important year, 1984. Yep, that was the year Oracle dropped version 4. This wasn't just another update. It was the technical breakthrough that was about to turn their crazy dream into a reality. Okay, so what was the big deal with V4? What did it actually do? Well, for starters, it introduced the whole idea of distributed databases and these things called distributed queries that could pull info from different machines. But there were two things that were just absolute game changers. First was something called multi-user concurrency. Think of it like a library where lots of people can check out different books at the same time and the whole system doesn't just collapse. The second was read consistency, and this was huge. It meant that no matter which computer you were on, you were always seeing the exact same up-to-the-second information as everyone else. And this is how that magic trick actually worked. It's incredible, really. For the very first time, someone sitting at one computer could ask a question, and the system would just go. It would race across the network, grab bits of data from a bunch of different separate machines, and then pull it all together into one single coherent answer right back on your screen. The prison walls had just been smashed to pieces. You know, the impact of this was just immediate, and it was profound. This wasn't some nerdy technical thing for the lab coats. This meant that businesses were suddenly free. They weren't limited by the power of their single biggest computer anymore. So that bank we talked about, it could finally connect all its branches. That retailer, they could now manage inventory in real time across the entire country. The floodgates for growth and scale were officially open. So, you see, the release of Oracle V4 wasn't the finish line, not at all. It was more like the starting pistol firing for the race towards a truly connected future. I mean, really think about it for a second. This was so much more than just a software update, a version 4. It was the first time anyone had real, concrete proof that this wild idea, this concept of a distributed database where data lives everywhere at once, wasn't just a fantasy. It was possible. It was practical. It actually worked. And this really puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? Before 1984, it's a world of isolated mainframes. Then bam, 1984 hits, and Oracle V4 proves this whole distributed concept can work. And that single event, it lit the fuse for what we now call the client-server revolution. You know, the idea that smaller computers, the clients, can ask for data from big, powerful servers. That model, that's the bedrock of pretty much all modern computing. We're talking about the internet itself right there. So when you trace it all back, it leads you right here. That one breakthrough in 1984, that simple but revolutionary idea of freeing data from being trapped in a single box, that's a direct line to the hyper-connected world we all live in today. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What else becomes possible when all of our data is truly connected?